Hey, this is Surfline Director of Forecasting Mark Willis. Alongside me, I've got lead forecaster Kirk Corte. We're here out of our office on the Outer Banks. We're going to take a live look at conditions up and down the East Coast as Hurricane Florence swell is poised to start building through the day and fairly substantially in some places through tomorrow.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a significant swell event for many locations along the southern half of the U.S. East Coast, but really swell up into the northern half as well. A variety of conditions up and down the coast, so we'll start down in Florida and work our way up. Does that sound good?
That does, Kurt. And I'm looking at Hightower Beach right now in Brevard County, and we've got a couple employees very close to there, Mike Watson and Charlie Hutcherson, two forecasters down there, and they gave us we obviously can see it on the cam here, but they gave us some good reports saying that there are head high waves down there and fairly consistent for parts of Brevard County. And looking at Hightower now, the big issue looks like onshore winds and also a bit of high tide problem.
Yes, whenever you get this longer period energy and those higher tides, you have to start worrying about some backwash and some extra little lump and bump. But northeast winds, even this morning there were some northeast winds. Mike Watson gave us the early report, but those have come up a little bit even since then. But you know what? It's better than it was in August. There's plenty of waves out there. So dropping tide this afternoon, we do expect a little more swell to fill in based on the upstream buoy observations. So should see some bigger surf fill in during the back half of the day.
And New Smyrna we're looking at now, that's probably been one of the standouts of this initial couple of days of the Florence swell, not only for Florida, but the entire East Coast. The report down there from Rob Mitsteifer this morning, waist to shoulder high, occasional 5 foot on the face, and some fun waves continuing in New Smyrna, but not quite as good as it's been the last couple of days, but still a few fun waves. And it's a little smaller up in Jack's Pier, generally waist to chest high there, but still plenty of people have been out surfing through the day, and onshore winds there as well.
Yeah, that's a fun looking wave. When we do reports there, take a look at it. There's always a nice little crowd out there, but fun waves there. And as we head up into South Carolina, taking a look at the Folly Beach Pier, I did the report there this morning and actually got an observation from a friend that was surfing, calling for basically knee to waist high surf. Obviously, they've done the beach replenishment up towards the washout area, so the sandbar is a little weird there. But around the pier and even a little further north, there's a couple of fun waves coming through in that knee to waist high range. Northeast winds here, not as bad as it is in some areas. So semi-clean conditions, a nice little lefts kind of running off the pier there from that east-southeast swell direction.
And once you get into Carolina Beach, North Carolina, the winds are more onshore there, so it's impacting there a little bit more than Folly Beach. Still some rideable waves, but it looks like conditions have deteriorated a little bit since this morning, so I know you'll probably make some changes in your upcoming afternoon report that we submit every day between 12 and 2 p.m. local time. And in Carteret County, looking at Bougainville Pier right now, some fun waves here. The winds are, kind of side shore to side onshore now, but still some occasional chest high sets.
Yes, and conditions really change as you head into from down in Carolina Beach, like we were just looking at, up into spots like Emerald Isle that start to face a little more southeasterly, and then eventually you get up into Atlantic Beach where spots are basically due south facing. So looking at Bougainville Pier here, that east-southeast swell producing a lot of lefts, kind of pushing down the beach, a little bit of current to contend with and some side shore winds, but some cleaner faces. Looks like some fun lefts coming through, and there's a nice little pack of people there on by the pier.
And obviously the last few locations we've been through in South Carolina and southern North Carolina right now are most under the gun from Hurricane Florence. So our thoughts obviously out to everyone in that zone and anyone else that's going to be impacted by this very dangerous Category 4 storm. Once you get into the Outer Banks, the surf is a little bit bigger here, generally in the 4 to 6 foot zone. We're looking at North Buxton now. Winds are onshore though, so not quite as clean as it has been.
Yes, we had some really fun surf the past couple of days with generally pretty light winds. But even since this morning, winds have come onshore a little bit stronger. Conditions have deteriorated. So really, after 4 or 5 days of good waves, is really not much motivation to get out there and fight through it.
It's a little bit different, kind of the opposite situation in the Mid-Atlantic region in Long Island, where they've had onshore winds for several days and backed off yesterday, and the winds are still fairly light right now. There's a lot of fog in that zone right now, but if you can find a pocket where there is no fog, it looks like there's some fun waves. We're looking at Ocean City, New Jersey right now, and yeah, it could be worse.
It definitely could. Light winds, like we said, and kind of a mix of some leftover mid-period swell from those winds over the weekend and over the northwest Atlantic, and a little bit of east-southeast swell from Hurricane Florence, producing a pretty fun-sized mix. But yep, light winds expected to really continue through the remainder of the day as well. So if you haven't gotten some surf, there definitely will be the opportunity to do that later today.
And the same thing, we're looking at Matunic and Rhode Island right now, some really fun waves there. Actually, it's probably one of the standouts of the Mid-Atlantic and New England regions, and surf waist to shoulder high. A lot of people out, and this actually could be a interesting zone generally between Long Island and the offshore islands south of and west of Cape Cod. That could be a hot spot over the next few days as the secondary pulse from Hurricane Florence moves in.
Yes, there's not a slam dunk wind forecast that says all day is going to be pumping or anything like that, but there definitely looks like there will be some windows of pretty clean, manageable conditions, for both Long Island and some of the more southerly facing breaks in New England.
And now we're at York Beach, Maine, where it also looks pretty fun, Kurt. The surf is waist to shoulder high, occasional 5-foot sets. That's head high on our scale. And plenty of people out up in northern New England as well, getting some fun waves this afternoon.
Yes, it's been onshore there for the past several days. We finally had our winds start to back off yesterday, and conditions still pretty fun. Predominantly that leftover wind swell up this way, but there is a little bit of east-southeast swell from Florence in the mix as well.
So that's our coverage of the ongoing situation for Hurricane Florence, and we're going to be doing additional coverage as it relates to the forecast. So be sure to check out Surfline for all the details, and you can find our human meteorologist forecast by following the regional forecast links throughout the site. Obviously, we have Lola model, all kinds of products from our Lola model as well, but our team of meteorologists generally are producing those products in that regional forecast link and premium analysis links throughout the site. And stay tuned to Surfline for our ongoing coverage of very dangerous Hurricane Florence.